Read it.
Here's a sweet dessert from me to the iCarly's. Hugs and tickles, Nevel.
Nevel?
How do you get this up here?
I don't know, but there's no way I'm eating anything.
How do you guys feel about unnecessary cameos? When you're watching your favorite teen sitcom from the 2000s, what do you like more? Awkward, unnecessary guest star cameos? Cynical, often cold-hearted jokes about the internet culture? Or even your favorite characters getting canceled? Or an unexpected ship of two of the main characters? Or dark, cynical humor that just makes you feel like a bad person for watching it? Yeah, iCarly Season 3 has all of this and unfortunately a lot more, including unexpected musical numbers in a way that only Disney Channel can do, 2 double-length specials all within it. The reason I wanted to choose iCarly Season 3 is because it's only 10 episodes, and in those 10 episodes, they do like a crazy amount of stuff. Not only is it the season with I Partied with Victorious, it's also the season with Jack Black, Jane Lynch, like everything goes on in this season, and I can't tell if it's for good cause. iCarly was just a simple show about 3 kids starting an internet web show, and for the first 2 seasons, it was phenomenal, but there was one season that marked a crucial turning point, and that is the 3rd season, right after the 2nd, as math would indicate. So let's jump into all 10 episodes and see if it's as horrible as I remember. I recently did a Victorious retrospective on their 4th season because to me that was like the worst, and I kind of wanted to do that with this and iCarly. If you guys like this video, make sure to subscribe. My name is Johnny2000, focusing on 2000s movies, media, TV, and so much more. So we start off with season 3 or 4 or whatever you want to identify this season as. I don't know what it's identifying itself as sometimes, honestly. With iGot, a hot new room. And if you're a fan of iCarly, you know this is a big turning point for the quality of the show because we had all the same sets and Carly's bedroom was introduced more than halfway through the episodes. And it was always really cool to see this new room. I was gonna say hot new room, but it feels kind of awkward. And yeah, this episode is a lot better than I remembered. I actually had a lot of fun with it because not only is it starting a new season, but it's introducing a lot of new things that may not be super comfortable, but I mean, looking back, I think they did a great job. Like, for example, the entire B plot of this episode is Spencer trying to get a haircut.
Please get a haircut.
No! It took me over a year to get it this long and voluminous.
Makes you look like a girl.
Does not.
Which is so funny because Gibby's the one hooking him up with a barber, and it turns out to be his grandfather who can't even see.
Ah, nice to meet you, Mr. Gibson.
And it feels like they copied this later Victorious because these Dan Schneider shows love to paint all the old people as if they have dementia and can't remember a single thing. And this is going to keep happening throughout the rest of the series with Gibby's grandfather. It reminds me a lot of like Andre's grandmother. They always give like the supporting secondary characters a really problematic older person to deal with, and it's just kind of funny, honestly. But yeah, this is barely a B plot. It doesn't even go anywhere. I know they don't paint the girls to be super humble, but it's annoying how the episode starts out with an iCarly podcast, and Carly is just basically like, hey, it's my birthday, and then gives a list of things they want the audience to send them. It's kind of conceited if you ask me. I feel like I couldn't do this realistically. It takes place on her birthday, which is funny because only traumatic things have happened on her birthday, so this is kind of carrying traditions. It's a very familiar concept. And Spencer's hair is just ridiculously long at this point. It's like hard to deal with watching. They end up having this like little surprise party with waffles. Spencer, it's revealed that he's done a really poor job in the past, and it's just funny to establish that this early on, considering what's about to happen. Spencer wants to surprise her with this special gummy bear lamp that he leaves on her bedside, and you know what? Spoiler alert, it's flammable. Yeah. So Carly comes back later, she finds out her entire room is on fire and burned down. Oh my god, it looks like Spencer tried to kill her, honestly. But yeah, right off the bat, he kind of ruins her life, and he doesn't usually do stuff that's this horrible. You kind of feel bad for him, like you don't want him to look like he's failing, because he's a good brother, he really tries, and that's all that matters, isn't it? Like, I genuinely felt bad for him when he realized this was all his fault, and he doesn't say a single thing. Like, it's actually a really nice moment, and I did not expect that to happen in season 4 or 3 or whatever this is. But yeah, you feel bad, and Carly just cries. Oh my god, this is so depressing for her. Oh yeah, it starts the recurring joke of Spencer, like, setting things on fire by accident. Like, it's happened before in the past, but this point going forward, it just happens all the time. And even the fire department gets involved in a certain episode, but hey, we'll get to that later.
Spencer Shea.
Yeah, we know who you are.
So Spencer finds out that they're actually going to inherit a lot of money because of all the things that burned, but he doesn't want to surprise Carly yet, so he pretends it's not good. And Carly has to get a job at Juice. So Spencer, Sam, and Freddie stick behind and actually help make the perfect bedroom for her.
Now let's build a teenage girl's bedroom so fantastic, it will make all the other teenage girls cry.
Meanwhile, she's miserable working for Tebow, and Tebow doesn't have to be a jerk to her. Like, that didn't have to be a part of the plan, but he just is. So Carly's more than miserable. It's kind of funny when you think about it, though. Spencer gets, like, millions of people involved in this room, and when Carly comes back, she's just completely miserable. And it takes him forever to get her to go to her room, which I find really funny, especially since, like, there's clearly a lot of positive stuff waiting for her, and she just refuses to accept it. And yeah, she gets this awesome, perfect room that is stereotypical sitcom and over expensive, and we find out that this is actually a stupid investment because they rent this place, which is so funny. What a funny reveal. Everybody contributed to Carly's new bedroom, and it is kind of awesome. It reminds me of like a Hannah Montana set, and I feel like it's just almost unrealistic considering how much money they have. I don't know though.
Man, is there anything money can't do?
All around this season's up to a good start. Once we see the changes that really make it unique, I feel like we're gonna notice it. One of the most unique things about this season is all the guest stars. Yes, a really important guest star, Jane Lynch, in the episode iSam's Mom. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. I love Jane Lynch. She's known for being on Glee and literally so many other movies, but I like her on Glee a lot, so I'm just gonna say Glee. Yeah, so this episode starts with Sam complaining that her and her mom are not getting along, and they even go full on live during this, and it reminds me of like a live stream situation where it's like you accidentally say something too personal on camera and people talk about it all over the internet. Yeah, that's the beginning of this trend here with Sam talking about her mom. But hey, Freddie told them on and on again that this is going to be recording, so they should be aware that they're live right now, and they're not, and we cut to the theme song. Kind of a funny start, honestly. Sam shows up at Carly's house at 4 in the morning, and honestly, this is a red flag. I'm really worried about Sam. This is like an emergency situation. She essentially inserts herself to live into Carly's house without asking them permission. Spencer comes in with a hand vacuum, and it's like, what in the world were you planning on doing with that? It's just kind of funny to me, honestly. In the B-plot, Freddie actually makes these really cool glasses that allow you to record while you're like looking at things, and this is very dystopian. I feel like this would come out now and still be really interesting. It's called a spy glass, and it's kind of creepy the way they talk about it, but we're just gonna move on past that. While he's trying these on, a robber comes in and robs the Groovy Smoothie, which, what are the odds of that? And since the guy ruined the cameras, they weren't able to get footage of him, except for Freddie, who conveniently was wearing those glasses. And I don't know what happens, but one of the people runs out of the bathroom when Gibby's there, and it's like, what's going on? Freddie's plot ends up getting really funny, but we're not quite there yet. Sam is still taking up so much space in Carly's apartment, and it is kind of disrespectful. Like, I can't believe how often she just inserts herself and ruins their lives. It definitely makes me realize she's so missed in the Revival series, because there's not this kind of energy of, like, disrespect in it, and that's kind of a good thing and a bad thing. She even deletes the stuff they saved on their on-demand on TV, which who forgot about that? You used to not be able to stream. You could just only get your episodes for a little bit at a time, and Sam deleted all of Spencer's, which I find it super crazy.
Why would you do that?
I don't like the playlist menu cluttered up with a bunch of shows I'm not into.
The news shows up to the Groovy Smoothie to get Freddie's interview on this whole situation and how he came in clutch and was the hero of the whole thing.
So now that you're the first person to have gotten video on the Shadow Hammer, are you worried that he might come after you for revenge, given his violent nature? Oh,
And Tebow just straightforward reveals his first and last name, and other people start revealing where he lives and exactly the apartment he lives in, and he realizes his life is almost over. And I can't believe nobody picked up on how inappropriate this was. Like, why would they put out that much information about this? That's not even fair. Freddie is completely in danger, and this is crossing a line. Freddie ends up having to move in with Carly, which is even funnier because of the fact that Sam just moved in too. Oh my god, and they hire the bodyguard, and this man is just so disorienting and like acts like he comes out of the war.
What is this movie?
The Killing War.
Meanwhile, Carly enacts a plan to help Sam and her mom reconnect. We get her mom showing up to Carly's place, which is so awesome because it's like the first time we get to meet her. We've always talked about her before, and this is like a cool like revelation. I like that they finally got to this. It's definitely fun to have like a surprise guest star. Carly brings them both to therapy, which might be crossing a line, honestly, but hey, like I like therapy, so it's very positive. And Sam and Jane Lynch just keep fighting and fighting. Like they do not get along. They're such a dysfunctional pair with her mom and her daughter.
This isn't what I meant by express your feelings.
So the therapist locks them in a room and makes them talk until they work things out, which is not an actual therapeutic method. I can't believe they're even doing this. Meanwhile, more and more people are taking up the Shays apartment and just inviting themselves in, and I feel bad. There's supposed to be 2 people that live here, and everybody is inserting themselves. Carly goes to check in on how Sam and her mom are doing and ends up getting locked in herself. And we learn about her fear of claustrophobia, which came up before in the I Space Out episode, but this time it's like really cemented. She just can't handle being in there.
I can't handle being trapped in small spaces like this.
Meanwhile, Spencer finds an obvious solution to Freddie being so scared that this villain is gonna come and kill him, that he switches the number of his apartment so that way the guy wouldn't find him. And it's like such an easy fix, and nobody thought of that. I don't think you're able to like just move numbers in an apartment building. Then again, I feel like you could have just alerted security. Like, do they not have security at their building? Then Carly is obviously in between Sam and her mom, quite literally this time. Before she got involved, now she's just straightforward physically in between them. And they just fight, and like the fact that Carly has like a little bit of a meltdown is the only thing that kind of brings them to actually make up to each other. And it's sweet. Like they actually have a moment, and actually I don't think this is sweet now that I'm listening to what they're saying, like how they get arrested and neither of them like each other and they just kind of accept that. And I guess that's how the plot ends. They hug, but did they really make up? No, I don't think so. This episode is very confusing because you think it's complete, but it really isn't. And Freddie avoids the murderer, which very quickly is the answer. Okay, that's cool. All around, this episode had a lot of fun. But the fact that Jane Lynch was a part of this is probably the best part of this whole series. Like, I like when they get guest stars going into this, and this is only the beginning for the rest of the series. So the next episode is Season 3, Episode 3, I Get Pranky, and this is a Spencer-centric episode, which you don't expect at first because it doesn't seem like it, but we get to it pretty quickly. So it starts out with a bunch of pranks done on iCarly.com, very classic, very them, and this is just such a common trope done in the 2000s where it's like they all have like prank tendencies. It's also done in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Big Time Rush. There's something about prank wars or like pulling pranks on each other that is just the only friendly way to go about really disrespecting another person, and they leaned on it very heavily on Nickelodeon, of course. I feel like they don't even do that much on Disney Channel shows. It's just this channel of all things. So Sam and Freddie are talking about how they had their first pranks, and Freddie's is just lame, and Sam's is just way too inappropriate, and Carly's insecure that she's never done a really good prank.
You're like way too old to have never pulled one prank.
Well, I'm sure it'll happen. When I, meet the right person.
And this feels like more adult themed in this concept, like the first kiss. You never had a first kiss, so they're trying to get Carly to have her first prank, and she tries it on Gibby, but it really doesn't work out.
Well, I kinda got him.
You got him dinner.
It starts this concept of Carly just being extra lame and not knowing how to like be extra rebellious. She tries to claim that the stuff they did to Lubert is as pranky as they've gotten, but no, that doesn't count, Carly. But the real plot kicks in when Carly talks to Spencer about this, and he's like, no, I don't do pranks. And we learn he has this history and dark past of getting too involved in pranks to a point where once he almost made this kid in his class go blind. Oh my gosh, yeah. So they have this flashback with young Spencer and a bunch of kids, which is so funny because seeing them at Ridgeway like really makes it harder to believe that the kids go to school here. Spencer is heavily in regret, and this past story reminds me a lot of when he got the arcade machine and he was like, no, like I have an addiction, and everybody had to kind of like have an intervention for him. That's kind of like what this premise is, but no, Spencer actually goes way off the grid and gets too obsessed with all these pranks, and we get this awesome song, Joke's on You, which is actually featured in Victorious, this show. Like, it's coming up a lot of different times. But hey, it's kind of an iconic song, and Spencer's just so good at pranking, he physically like hurts a lot of people in the process. I don't know why the Gibby prank is the funniest to me when the toilet like squirts back at him. Like, what in the world? But yeah, all around, just Spencer having a good time, and I love Spencer, so this is a fun episode so far.
Yo, Holmes, I'll prank you later.
So Spencer goes too off the rails. Carly, Sam, and Freddie are all having issues with it. They just can't go about their normal lives because of how addicted this guy is to pranking. And I kind of feel bad for her, but I don't know. She kind of made this happen. Like, he said he didn't want to do this. They did not respect his boundaries. They actually went out of their way to make him do something he was uncomfortable with. Like, this was a little too far on their part, honestly. I can't not mention that there's a funny reference to Drake and Josh in this episode when Carly's watching the TV and sees, like, why can't I be a prankster like that girl? And it's literally Drake and Josh. Like, you could hear it. Listen.
That was good revenge, too. And by the way, you didn't kill Hervé. The camera flash just stunned him.
How come that little girl's so good at pranks?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So Spencer refuses to sign this contract that says he won't prank again, which I don't know why the kids think that's all you'll need to stop this addiction. I mean, that's kind of crazy to think about. So they're like, we have to prank him back and embarrass him. So they get Gibby involved, and this poor pawn in this whole show, like, Gibby is just placed in scenarios to be tortured, and it's not fun or fair to the actor. That's fair. That's probably why he didn't come to the revival, guys. And they added this other location to the season, which is kind of cool. The basement of the Bushwell Hotel, and I can't believe they didn't use this location in the revival. Like, that would have been really nice. But yeah, this like downstairs area, and they try to trick Spencer, but Spencer's too smart for that. He's not gonna take it. So once Gibby is like completely injured after not being able to prank back Spencer, they take the more psychological route, which they did last episode with Sam's mom. So I guess Carly's just all into psychology these episodes. Like, I don't know why this is becoming a recurring thing, but they get all the people that Spencer wronged prank-wise in high school at Ridgeway and have them all come to Carly's apartment. Kinda crazy that they invited all of them. And yeah, so they turn on Spencer pretty quickly. So Carly leaves him alone with all these adults and is surprised to find out when she comes back they all attack Spencer. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's kinda not a good idea to get a bunch of revenge-driven victims and bring them to the perpetrator's house. I don't think that would have ended up well anyway. But hey, everybody beats up Spencer, and that's kinda how the episode ends. Like, the credits card coming up, and I'm like, this is really how they're expecting us to take this lesson away? Spencer's like, message received, and I guess the moral of the story is physical altercations can really stop a disagreement, and now that he's disrespected back, everybody is back to normal. That's not a positive ending, honestly, and I can't believe they had it end this way, but this is like only the beginning of the storytelling starting to go off its rocker, and I'm only noticing that now. Like, this was my favorite season growing up, so like, actually missing all this is kind of funny to me. Speaking of going too far, they definitely cross some child labor boundaries in the next episode, iSell Penny Teas, episode 4. And oh my gosh, guys, this show just loves to cross its lines. You know how like they had a lot of quirky phrases that they've said on the show before and had shirts made up of, like random things like Broccoli Tuesday, or like just a really specific assortment of words together making a shirt. And in this episode, it becomes a lot cooler. Like, people on iCarly start to request that the shirt gets sold, and it definitely brings the whole merch part of social media involved in this whole lifestyle, which I like. I feel like it's definitely poking into the new modern day digital technology world, and it's funny to think that Carly, Sam, and Freddie had to deal with it first. Ironically, the episode starts out with a cold open about Sam Puckett's legal defense issues, and they're trying to raise money to keep her out of juvie, which is insane that they're devoting their entire life and all money to trying to keep her out of prison. I feel like that's kind of depressing depressing to think about, especially if you're the guardian of these kids. Like, it's kind of depressing. Spencer kind of feels like a jerk in this episode because his entire subplot is dating this girl that he doesn't know the language she speaks, and she can't understand him either. So they're just like making out most of the time. And I can't believe they had like this Playboy character like all over iCarly in a kid's show. It makes more sense in the revival. Like, of course he's gonna try to be with a bunch of women, but like in this time, like this is a little bit crossing a line again. But that's funny how it pans out because Gibby gets involved in Spencer's plotline, which is so funny that it's usually Gibby. I feel like of all people, they really relate to each other, and it's kind of sweet, but like it never goes anywhere sentimental. It's just them being goofballs together. But yeah, so Gibby tells Spencer that he knows a bus driver that actually speaks the language, and Spencer's like, oh, this is awesome. Yeah, imagine how that's gonna go later. So they decide together to make a business out of this whole penny tea situation, and it feels very Silicon Valley if you guys have seen that show. It's basically a show about this tech startup that like develops this app that becomes super popular. It starts like just in this normal house and starts growing and becomes like this huge international thing. And it's cool to see iCarly start out that way because that's how the original show is kind of intended. You know, like the first people that had a big webcast, like now it's getting even better and better for them. And while they're creating all these penny teas, they find out that Sam has actually created so many more. And it's like, how in the world did you get so many done? And we find out that she's actually working a sweat lodge.
You want to know how I made so many penny teas? Check it out.
Which is a bunch of kids that she met up the street, and she's having them make shirts for them, which is crazy commentary on actually what goes on in other countries. Like China, they actually do underpay people and act exactly like Sam does.
Miss Puckett, I got a cut on my arm.
Oh, let me take care of that.
So it's kind of crazy that the commentary is a little too spot on for this experience. And yeah, Carly and Freddie are immediately uncomfortable with this and are like, this is crossing a line, which they've crossed so many times, guys. I don't even know like how we stop crossing lines. This entire show is about crossing lines, so I think they need to start getting over it because these plots are just gonna keep happening to them. So Carly and Freddie are pretty insistent that if they were treated right and had the better working conditions, that they would get more shirts done and everything would be great. And I just feel so bad for these kids. Like, they're asking Sam for food and she's like giving them chunks of meat. Like, why is that fair at all? This is like a horrible representation of like something that just kids would have nothing to do with, and I can't believe they brought them into these circumstances. And seeing kids do this to even younger kids is even crazier. So the kids end up taking advantage of Freddie and Carly because how nice they are, which is kind of real in the real world too. Like, I don't know why they had to get this realistic when it came to portraying this, because they just get spoiled and they don't want to make shirts anymore. And since Freddie and Carly paid them 3 months in advance, which by the way, stupid idea, but hey, they have to learn sometimes. They're kids starting their own business. What are you gonna do? They take advantage of Carly and Freddie and they just keep leaving. And it turns out Sam was right that you have to give them poor working conditions in order for them to make more shirts, which is a crazy lesson that they're trying to let us walk away with, but also kind of scary how real it is. I hate to say that. Meanwhile, we're jumping back to the B plot, and Spencer's still trying to seduce this woman that they do not speak the same language, and it's just embarrassing at a certain point. It's just like, why are they trying to be together at all? Gibby ends up bringing the bus driver that speaks the same language as this woman, and yeah, they both talk to each other and they hit it off. Spencer is like very shocked, but at the same time, it's like they only can understand each other. Of course they're gonna like get together. But right in front of Spencer, that's kind of harsh. Gibby like reveals that his brother knew English and the language, and Spencer's like, why didn't you just get me the brother? So yeah, this guy ends up taking Spencer's girl, and that's how the episode ends. Thanks. That's just karma for the way they treat Gibby though. Like, it's totally fair it ended up that way. In the end, it ends how all capitalism does, with these kids actually breaking all off from Sam, Carly, and Freddie and making their own penny teas company. They realized that all the stuff that they were doing could be done like under their own dime, and they're smart enough to leave the iCarly crew, which is unfortunately the reality of the world, and I feel like the best karma that these kids could have gotten. So I guess we're gonna excuse this episode because there's kind of a resolution, but I don't know, I still feel icky about the whole thing. Like, having Sam keep all these kids in the basement of this hotel creating shirts that they are gonna make money off of, like, there has to be some sort of lawsuit or legal implication here, right? No, I guess we're just not getting into that. Okay, fine. I'm not gonna argue anymore then. But yeah, these are one of the episodes that I think is really crossing a line. Like, I can't believe they went so far to make a plot line about this. The Penny T situation is really funny, and I feel like it's nice that the kids end up coming on top of the whole situation, hiring their own comedy writers. But like, does this episode really need to happen? Is this worth it to people? I don't know. That's what I have to say about this. The next episode of iCarly is I Do, season 3, episode 5, or season 4, whatever you say you want this to be. And this episode kind of reminds me about all the things I liked about iCarly, especially from the first season. I feel like it really takes us back to the normal plot structure of when they were trying to be a good show. You know, like, this is when they start going off the walls a little bit, but using the internet as a means to involve conflict or like how the kids deal with it is the bread and butter of this show. It's what works on the comedy, it's what works in the relationship dynamics. Even seeing Spencer and Carly have to deal with that is probably the best part. So this one really leans into it. They start with a man that is basically like, I want to propose to my girlfriend live on your TV show because you guys are in the internet and have the power of the internet, and they both like iCarly, so it makes a lot of sense. It kind of reminds me of like when you would do this at a concert to try to get, you know, your lover's attention and get them to marry you. It's very sweet. Like, it's very cool that Carly and Sam are even letting this happen, because on the last episode they had a legal defense fund for Sam, and then the episode before that they were just pranking people. So I guess they just like to do good at random moments and not at others. So they bring this man onto iCarly to surprise this woman that comes out on the screen. And Spencer interrupts this webcast to show them about a chip that looks like a president, which is kind of ridiculous. I wish they told him about the fact that they're doing this proposal, because this really ruins the vibe, honestly. But it does kind of introduce a story element of this woman that is about to be proposed to has a crush on Spencer. Oh my gosh, she keeps talking to Spencer, and that does not stop at this part of the episode. Gibby comes in with the ring dressed as a bear, which is very funny. It's very obvious joke, but hey, the fact they're doing it on iCarly is better, and it's not like completely against Gibby, so what can I say? So yeah, this guy gets his proposal. It's as romantic as everybody expects it to be, but the twist comes in when both the man and woman ask Carly, Freddie, and Sam to be huge parts of this wedding. So they have to fly to Milwaukee, be the bridesmaids to this random woman they just met, and Freddie has to be the best man to the guy. And oh my gosh, I did not expect a episode to take this kind of turn, but it's cool because I feel like none of the Dan Schneider episodes had like a full-on wedding. Like, Drake and Josh tried to get to a wedding, but it never did any more than that. Freddie has to confront the guy's brother because he's the best man and the other one's his brother, which is so funny because it's like not like Freddie wanted to be the best man and now he's suffering this entire episode because of it. Meanwhile, Gibby has the meaningless B-plot throughout this whole thing of seeing a $5 bill in a tree and trying to get it. He has his little brother Guppy going on, and it's just like the most unnecessary part of this episode, but hey, it is funny watching them drive by the street and like have this old woman be involved. Like, what's going on with that at all? Things really heat up when they're actually getting to the formal wedding, and Carly learns that this woman actually has a crush on Spencer and doesn't even want to get married because of it. So these guys got involved in ways they did not want to, and this entire wedding is pretty much ruined, and everybody hates Spencer, which is kind of fair. But all the kids are like targeted now, and it's really embarrassing. I just love the blue they're wearing. That's all I could think about while they're getting like abused by these random families, is that their blue is awesome. So meanwhile, they're trying to figure out how to make it up to them and or get the couple back together, which by the way, I don't know why they would even try to get back together after all this toxicity. Like, this woman just left him for a random guy she just met on a web show. Like, I can't believe that. So they're trying to get Gordon to get back with her, like make it romantic again. And you know what? I don't even know where this is going. They decide to take a Disney Channel approach to the rest of the episode, which feels really off kilter for this show, especially since they're not musically inclined at all, like Victorious, or about singing like Hannah Montana. Like, it is just kind of crazy that iCarly decided to do this for this one episode. But hey, Miranda Cosgrove's a good singer. Remember Stay My Baby? Yeah, that was a good song. Back in the 2000s, Miranda Cosgrove had a great singing career, and I wish it went somewhere because, you know what, it was justified. She's a good singer and she has fun. She ends up doing this whole musical song for the couple, beautiful, and it's very sweet, actually. Like, I like the song a lot, and she does a good job singing it. It's like the one time she ever sings a song on this show, so it's kind of justified. The bride and groom end up getting really into the song and crying, and like, I don't know, if I was any of the patrons at this place, I would be super uncomfortable. I like that there's like so many guest stars in this episode, though. Like, it's nice to have a bunch of new characters and iCarly having to deal with them, which kind of happens more than once. I feel like they do a lot of traveling from this point on in the show. Yeah, so they finally make up with the fact that this woman almost cheated with Spencer, and they have a great musical number to align everything else. Okay, great moral of the story. I Do is a really fun iCarly episode, bringing us back to the basics of what made iCarly so good. Their internet fame, their influence on other people, and even physically in a room with older people and trying to explain why the internet ruined this entire couple. Like, I don't think it's necessarily their fault. And then Gibby's plot is just so unnecessary. I feel like it's the one thing that took me out of this episode. Even having the old woman be on Gibby's neck to try to reach the $5 bill, like, what is that about? Did this really need to happen? That's what the moral of the story is with this whole episode, is like, why did most of this need to happen? But hey, I feel like this episode is one of my favorites just because it covers all the things you like about this show. Having Spencer be the object of this woman's affection is even more funny than anything else, I feel like. So yeah, good times and great people. I feel like we missed a lot of Freddie's and Sam's plots. Like, there's no real resolution to anything they go through in this episode, but hey, they didn't really need to. I just like that we had a wedding episode. That's a fun plot. Considering they don't have like a prom or a formal dance episode, and yet they have a wedding episode, it's a very adult sitcom premise to take away from this. Remember how we were talking about a lot of guest stars? Yeah, this is another one. Yeah, so it's all about Webicon. This is this convention that's exactly like Comic-Con, but more so for web series and like online events, which is so funny because obviously that becomes such a more mainstream part of our lives. But here it's a two-part episode. Carly has a crush on this really attractive guy at school, and she finds herself in a complicated situation because people keep shipping her and Freddie together, which actually comes up a lot.
So are you and Freddie like a thing?
Me and Freddie? No. What? I mean, I'm completely available.
Outside of the show, it was such a crazy phenomenon of people trying to ship these characters together when Nickelodeon wasn't really like that as many episodes. Like, their episodes weren't really as much about relationships as they were about, like, just funny comedy beats. But they were trying to do something that Disney Channel did, where characters started pairing off. And it's, like, really funny that it becomes more of, like, this meta experience than necessarily anything else. Spencer has an addiction to some online game that's literally a parody of World of Warcraft, but they just call it something different. Classic them. Always doing that randomly, and it doesn't even make sense.
That game is so stupid.
It's not a game. It's a lifestyle.
And Carly is experiencing some awkwardness with this new guy she has a crush on. He's going to be coming to the panel for iCarly, which is actually really, really cool. I mean, obviously it's going to lead to some problems later, but hey, she's excited.
I got Webicon this Saturday. iCarly's doing a whole big thing there. Dang it!
And Webicon is going to be off the hizzle. You could tell by Spencer's outfit right away that this is a really exciting episode because, like, leaning into the nerd culture of everything is always so fun.
I am a Ruthor!
And I feel like having a two-part episode devoted to that is even better. Spencer is hilariously dressed up, and you know what? It gets even better when his competition throughout this episode ends up being Jack Black, somebody who claims to be just as into the World of Warcraft parody as he is. So they end up having a huge nerd off, getting everybody riled up at Webicon to focus on specifically their competitiveness. And this is more than just a B-plot, because honestly, like, they have a whole musical number, which we'll get to in a second.
Thrust my sword through your lily-white gullet. You look like a troll with a chambermaid's mullet.
But yeah, that's essentially what's going on here. We have a third plot that we're not going to talk about that much because it's Gibby's grandfather taking Gibby and Guppy to this whole event, and they never end up getting there. Remember how I said that they just have old people just being ridiculous for no reason? The grandfather is like the worst characters combined, honestly. So Gibby, spoiler alert, never ends up getting to the Comic-Con, but everybody else makes it. Even Craig and Eric from Drake and and Josh, Stacy from Zoe 101. It's like a reunion without meaning to be a reunion, which, by the way, they could have leaned into a lot more. I feel like their appearances are really fun and it could have happened more. Like the same way Helen came back for Victorious, they could have had these characters play more prominent role, especially since it's a 2-part episode. Like, they have time. So yeah, Carly's crush shows up to this whole event and they finally get their own panel. They are like at the top of the top in this season. Like before they were just like casual web series people, but now we're fully experiencing their impact on the world, which is kind of insane. Spencer's whole ordeal is with Jack Black. Yeah, Jack Black makes an appearance in this episode, which is awesome. He plays Bowser from the Mario movie. That's what he's the most known for, more than anything else in the world, honestly. And he and Spencer pretty much rile up everybody at the convention, and it's a little bit boring in nature. Like, their fights have to do with a lot of things we don't understand or is kind of made up anyway, so like, what's the point? Meanwhile, this whole convention gets thrown under arms when the fans have a ridiculous amount of specific questions. First, it's about the sound box, but then it just becomes about the shipping, like Carly and Freddie, and then Freddie and Sam. Seti and Creddy, which is, oh my gosh, it's such a fun commentary on the real life complication. But the fact that Carly's guy crush is here is kind of even funnier because at least it has something for her to be insecure about. Freddie is the most not helpful in this because obviously he's involved in both scenarios, so you think he would have more of a plot line in this, but he doesn't. He just kind of accepts it. They stay at this panel for the whole episode, which is ridiculous when you think about it. They kind of like address the rumors by saying that like you don't have to focus on the relationships, like sometimes just enjoy the content itself. And this seemingly calms down everybody, but then again, it all breaks out into even worse scenarios.
Freddie and I aren't in a romantic relationship.
Respectfully, I disagree.
Meanwhile, Gibby and Guppy never make it, like I said before.
Why can't we just get food at WebiCon?
You know I can't eat corn!
WebiCon! I'm hearing the voices!
They even assault a drive-through fast food employee by taking him through the car. And then we get an awesome musical number with Jack Black and Spencer, which isn't actually awesome, it's just them kind of riffing in random songs. Like, they could have done a full musical number here and it would have been awesome, but they didn't. In the end, both plots intertwine with Jack Black taking Carly hostage? Oh my gosh. And Spencer ends up winning the entire war, letting them go free, and nothing is resolved. It's just a matter of them addressing the fan base, Carly having like some dramatic speech, and nothing ever going anywhere. All around is just like a comedy beat that went on way too long, and the least impressive special I feel like in the entire iCarly series, which kind of breaks my heart because I was so excited about all these episodes, and yeah, they just kind of dipped at a certain point. But hey, it's not as bad as the Victorious specials, trust me. So this one ends up being kind of an okay episode with some really fun moments, but for the most part, it's a bunch of cameos and famous people strung together by this like very weak iCarly plotline. And Carly doesn't end up going out with the guy, spoiler alert, because it just doesn't work out. And I also think this guy sees a lot of baggage with Carly, especially the fact that they're doing this web show. Like, there's just too much going on. I would have left her also. But yeah, aside from the fan service and all the exciting like moments, definitely like a way to go. So yeah, iStart a fan war, not as exciting as you'd think. So episode 7 of season 3 is I Hire an Idiot, and honestly, this is the sexist episode of iCarly. If anything, it's like the male and female objectification of it all. This episode just goes a little too far. Like, they start judging people by their looks. It's insane. It starts out with Carly, Sam, and Freddie hanging out in the living room, super excited about how far iCarly's gone. Oh wait, they're not excited, they're almost dreading it. For some reason, success really bums these people out. Even Spencer kind of has a comment about it, which is like, hey, just be grateful. Now, for real though. He suggests that they hire an intern to help them with all the excessive work, which actually strikes them as a great idea. Of course, Carly and Sam are against what Freddie wants, and Freddie's against what Carly and Sam wants. They interview a bunch of people, including Stacy Dilson from Zoe 101. I can't believe they found another excuse for this girl to be in this show within the same season, within 3 episodes. Yeah, Stacy Dilson did not need to happen. I don't know why they're not like considering Gibby so quickly. Carly and Sam are fawning over this really attractive guy who just keeps his shirt unbuttoned, and they're like, wow, he's perfect. Meanwhile, Freddie is like, why would this be appropriate?
Court, you gotta learn how to tie your own shoes. It's important. And now, I can tie my own shoes without even thinking about it.
In the B-plot, Spencer actually has something really funny going on. He wants to prove to his grandfather that he's worthwhile as an artist.
I made a deal with my granddad that if I don't get a sculpture displayed in this museum by this Friday, that I go back to law school, and I can't do that.
So he sneaks his sculpture, the robot guy, into a museum, somehow willing to get away with it. I don't know if you guys remember, but there's a lot of security in museums. Like, it's no joke. You can't just bring something in. And this woman who works at the museum has her eye on Spencer the entire time, and it's very clear that, like, Spencer cannot get away with this. Meanwhile, iCarly goes just as usual until the computer breaks down. Yeah, this new assistant is horrible. Just because he's attractive doesn't mean he's good at what he does. Until they have him dance again, and then they just forget all their mishaps with him.
Everyone deserves a second chance!
Court deserves unlimited chances!
Seeing Carly and Sam treat this guy like such a dumb guy is just so crazy to me because I see myself a lot in this guy. Just without the handsome part. So Freddie actually retaliates with their whole plan and hires another intern that is an attractive woman. Okay, fighting masculine with feminine. That's very fair. Good job, Freddie. And so she starts giving the same problems that this guy gives.
I have a bed.
Got one too.
Rock on!
What is going on here?
Meanwhile, Gibby is like, I can't believe Gibby's not the intern. Like, he's around you guys enough, isn't he? They end up in a full-on fight right before iCarly, with both genders getting in trouble.
That feminine idiot!
I'll fire my feminidiot when you fire your imbecile.
Okay, that was clever wordplay.
Meanwhile, Gibby helps Spencer try to distract all the security at the museum to get his statue in.
I guess you gotta chase me now.
Are you supposed to be doing that?
Just in time, because grandfather comes in as well. It's nice seeing this old man again, especially since he comes in the reboot. Like, it's funny seeing him. Spencer tries to, like, make a huge deal out of this and rub it in his face, which I kind of find really funny. The whole plan doesn't work out for him, though, because that woman he saw before shows up and is pretty much onto his games. The only way he's able to turn this around is by kissing her. Oh my god. Spencer, this is sexual harassment. You know, this woman is literally just trying to work here. Meanwhile, the male intern takes things way too far by eating the raw steaks that iCarly is supposed to use. Like, this guy just makes things worse and worse. But Freddie is sticking to his ground. Like, if they fire his intern, they're gonna have to fire their intern, which is kind of fair, I guess. I feel like this is just not using these two interns as pawns for each other is just like excessive power in the workplace, and like these kids are too young with millions of views to like actually know what they're doing to these people. Like, imagine how much money they'd probably be making in this day and age. Like, they should actually address that, because these guys are not fair. So yeah, in the end, they realize that they're just using these people, and Freddie's intern actually admits that she went to college and she was just pretending to be stupid. Oh my gosh. So actually hire her then, guys. Come on. The guy is as stupid as he seems, not knowing what an elevator is, which, come on, guys. There's no way he doesn't know what an elevator is. All around, a lot of wacky stuff going on in this episode. This is like the peak of iCarly, honestly, but still offensive. I don't know how to grade this, honestly. This next episode holds the test of time way better than anyone I've seen compared to like the iCarly universe. It's called I Pity the Neville, episode 8. It starts with iCarly super excited and successful once again. Spencer introduces this little plastic gun he has and somehow catches it on fire.
The perfect Christmas gift.
This is one of the funniest times I feel like Spencer has this fire issue where things just keep catching flames. I wish they did this more in the reboot. But yeah, so Sam comes running in saying that there's a video with Nevel all over the internet. Oh my gosh. And it's a horrible video ruining his reputation where he screams at a little girl for literally no reason. Honestly, this character of Nevel is so funny and I appreciate him so much more growing up because he's making fun of like all the anti-YouTubers like Shane Dawson or like Like, just like the worst people you would find online. And of course, Carly and Sam just have no empathy for him, because he's done so much worse to both of them, like kissing Carly without her consent. Like, there's just a little too much going on in the Carly universe. Meanwhile, Freddie releases a short film the girls and him made called Vampire Twiblood, something parodying Twilight. And of course, he plays the vampire, Edward. I can't believe he did this.
Nobody can love me. I'm a monster.
They use all the same locations at her house, which is kind of unrealistic, making this show seem like just straight up ridiculous. They have the floating talking bra in this, and it's even more confusing than you can imagine.
But I can't love you either.
Why?
You're a bra.
And yeah, this is such a weird departure from the main plot. Honestly, like, the rest of the episode is better than this 3-minute commercial break for their Twilight. I feel bad for Gibby all the time because he does such ridiculous stuff on the show and is never rewarded for it. Even in the next scene, like, they're talking about how they're gonna have a party against Nevel, and Gibby wasn't even invited. What the heck, guys? But yeah, the cynical is at its peak when they have an anti-Nevel party with pictures of his face everywhere, and, you know, you could throw darts at it, they could draw the devil face on him. Like, this is exactly when the internet got its worst and most toxic. Even the way the kids are talking to each other, like, the internet world was not a great place, honestly. I kind of consider this the cancellation party, where it's like somebody gets canceled and everybody's happy about it, but like nobody really thinks about the other side of the situation, which is, I guess, Nevel, but he doesn't really have another side. Later, we see Nevel walking all on his own, and you kind of feel bad for him, and he's like in the rain, but really it's just like a homeless guy.
This is what you get for screaming at that little girl! Wet!
So he shows up at the iCarly's house only to see that they were throwing a party about his cancellation. What the heck? So yeah, they tie him up only to ask what he's doing here. And by the way, if I were Nevel, I'd be terrified at what was going on around me. Like, they have him on a literal noose in the background. Do you see that? That is not fair. So he's asking for their sympathy and just for them to be nice to him because he's down on his luck for sure. And Sam decides to pour a drink of soda in a shoe, and if Nevel drinks it, they can help him. Okay, this is bullying to the max. Sam is just a horrible bully sometimes, and I can't believe this. Freddie's getting a lot of extra attention for the Vampire Twiblood short film they did. Surprise, surprise. So yeah, he's just eating it up every chance he gets. Meanwhile, Carly and Sam try to help Nevel look better for the internet and get uncanceled. Very sweet of them that they don't have to do. They just record him giving out smoothies for free and being extra sweet, which is kind of like a chaperone thing. They go to the internet only to find out that nobody believes him. Oh my gosh. I like this though. It's like a redeem him story. Carly, Sam, and Freddie are actually doing something really good here, which has been a long time since we've seen this happen. Like, they were literally working kids in a sweatshop and now they're helping Nevel. So I guess you have to be happy with some of the graces they get. They bring on Nevel one more time to the iCarly show just to give a sincere apology, and we're all hoping that this actually comes out well because we don't want this guy to be embarrassed again. So they bring the little girl he got mad at onto the show and apologizes to her. Aww. Nevel thanks Freddie, and it's kind of sweet until Freddie's like, this means that you won't hurt iCarly again, and he's like, I'll try. What the heck? Yeah, it turns out Nevel didn't learn anything because then he yells at a man in a wheelchair only to have the same exact thing happen again, which I guess the moral of the story is that if you're canceled once, you're gonna be canceled again and can't get better. I mean, I just don't understand the positive message in this one. All around a confusing experience for me because I thought this was gonna be a redeeming story, but it wasn't. It was just a series of tortured events. And can you believe that we didn't even see Nevel come into this until like halfway through the episode? Like, the fact that the pacing of the show is completely altered just to meet the comedy beats is meaning that they're actually putting the story as a last priority. And that's where iCarly starts to bother me. Like, this is where the cracks start to show when Sam and Freddie start dating and things just get a little too out of character. I claim it to be the writer's issue because clearly they could have like just did the stereotypical storytelling aspect. Okay, now we have the last normal episode from season 3, episode 9, IOMG. And despite the the fact it's a normal episode, they don't advertise it that way. They used to say this was like a special episode, but really it was just special because of what Sam's about to do. But I'm not going to get into that quite yet. So yeah, IOMG starts out with all the kids in the classroom getting ready for their science class. One of their classmates, Brad, heard about all the wrong behavior going on about the episode before this when they hired the hot guy. He's interested in being their assistant, and there's no argument over it. They just kind of accept him, which is very sweet. Sam takes an interest in what Freddie and Brad are doing on their science experiment. They're essentially taking a bunch of face pictures and trying to create something that tells the mood of the person and what they're feeling, which actually is a really cool concept. At first, they don't understand why Sam would want to be interested in a science experiment, so they think she's up to something, but yeah, maybe she is. Later, they're doing iCarly, and of course another nonsense episode where they're just barely talking to the camera. Like, they do a whip pan to Gibby, but like, this could not be substance. Like, I don't know what they're trying to do.
Look at us.
Now back at Gibby.
Now back at us.
Now back at Gibby.
His hands are full of tuna fish salad.
Sam is just acting weirder and weirder, wanting to be involved in things that Freddie and Brad are doing. So everybody's like, what's going on?
Okay, what's up with you?
What do you mean?
You have been nice and helpful and considerate all day.
Meanwhile, Spencer has a really funny B-plot where we actually address how many times he sets fire to things.
The fire department sent us a letter saying we've reached our maximum number of calls for the year.
So Spencer tries to teach Carly how to use a fire extinguisher, but it keeps getting set on fire. Honestly, this doesn't feel like Spencer's issue. I don't know if a doctor needs to see him or how this is coming out, but I'm starting to feel bad for him at a certain point, because this is not fair. Spencer agrees to be the test dummy on Carly and Gibby's experiment, which I don't know, this looks like a multi-million-dollar experiment, the way they get this giant box into the classroom. It reminds me of that box that Drake was kept in Josh Is Done, if you guys remember that episode, where he had like the acid shower and it kind of ruined his life. Yeah, that was kind of crazy. This entire episode is essentially testing Spencer on stimuli, I guess. I don't even know how to explain it. It just feels like the writer's way of making this character do ridiculous things. They test him with music and loud sounds, and Spencer's just such a funny reaction to this. Sam acts even weirder as she's given the kids guacamole, and Freddie is just insistent that she is up to no good. And I've never seen so much of Ridgeway Middle School until this episode. I can't believe it. Freddie ends up using the facial recognition thing on Sam, and it says in love. Oh my god. But instead of telling anybody, he runs away. Of course, Freddie. He tells Carly, who is not believing this at all, while Spencer is being tortured by a bunch of different scents. So Carly tries to be a good friend and actually talk about this with Sam, and she's just kind of in denial about it. She's like, no, I don't have feelings toward Brad. And low-key, she's not lying, which is kind of exciting. Freddie and Carly talk about what they're supposed to do about this scenario, and she's just like, Sam is just going through it and is awkward around guys, so that's why it's not being figured out. So Freddie's big idea is putting them in a room alone together where Sam can actually talk to him and maybe get her feelings out. So Carly and Freddie come up with an excuse to get everybody out of the classroom. They make some stupid excuse of like a two-headed frog, and okay. Brad wants to go too, but Carly's using this whole thing as a setup. Meanwhile, they're still testing Spencer, this poor guy, and he's just getting worse and worse, like actually having things sprayed onto him like food, and I'm just really disgusted. So Sam really has nothing to say to Brad. It's not really working out, and Carly's like, you need to talk to him, and like, don't let somebody get away again, which it makes sense. I feel like Sam is dealing with a lot of complicated emotions because she hasn't had good family role models when it came to love, or like hasn't been exposed to that kind of thing ever. So it makes sense that she's like awkward around it. She sits outside alone, only to be bothered by, of course, Freddie. Yep. So this approach just seems normal at first until Sam and Freddie start getting closer, and honestly, watching this with the sound off, it seems pretty obvious, honestly. She ends up grabbing him and kissing him, which is kind of a reference to the fact that they've kissed before in I Kiss, but this is actually solidifying that they're making this a storyline. This is not just a reaction episode. Carly ends up seeing the whole thing, and we don't get to see anything else about the rest of the night. Like, I don't get to see how Spencer survived, I don't get to see any of the experiments, I really don't even see if Brad even comes back. So it's kind of a frustrating thing, especially considering the next episode is a 3-part special all about iCarly crossing over with Victorious. So they really stop it at such an inconvenient spot, and considering the beginning of season 5 is actually taking where this left off, it makes me feel like iParty with Victorious doesn't even count. But hey, let's just get into that one separately.
Okay, iCarly, iParty with Victorious. I gotta tell you guys, this was meant to be a movie. This should have been in theaters. This was the premiere event that really defined Nickelodeon and took all these separate spin-off shows like Drake and Josh, The Amanda Show, Zoe 101. It's where they finally acknowledged 2 of the shows being in the same universe, therefore confirming the entire universe it exists in. So with that being said, there was obviously really high expectations that I can't take full accountability for. I never made them. I never said it was going to be a good special. I hoped it was going to be a good special. I definitely thought it was going to be better than it was. I feel like the whole idea of it being all taking place at a single party is not super fun. It makes me think we're not going to get like a lot of one-on-one time with the characters. There's not going to be a lot of growth or like plot twisty things to happen. But hey, I guess what am I expecting out of like a kid's sitcom? I was totally just there to laugh and have fun. So now that they're doing an hour and 20-minute episode, it seems like it's going to have to be super plot heavy, and that's what it is. Honestly though, the plot is really interesting. So Carly's dating this guy in Seattle, and this kid commutes from Seattle to LA, where Victorious is held. Hollywood Arts, everybody, that's where they are. And it turns out this guy is 2-timing both of them. Kind of a funny way to reunite. Definitely not the same thing that happened in Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, that's for sure. I don't like that the whole theme song is a preview of everything that's about to happen. Like, they kind of give it all away before it even happens, which really bothers me. And there's no real character growth in this. It's about all of the characters and yet none of them. Like, everybody is given a super small plot line. Like Beck and Psychowitz's plot line, like, it's literally just him trying to scare Beck. So it kind of feels a little bit more of a Victorious episode in the sense that it's like so outlandish, and it's never gonna not bother me that she was also Shelby Marks, that we literally just saw Trina in iPsycho. I don't even know what to say about this. It brings them together in like the worst of the ways. Oh, like Kat can't speak the whole special. Like, I don't know. Everything's like, it just doesn't feel like it comes together the right way. And the fact that it's all about a boy makes Tori and Carly seem pretty shallow, and having them meet and kind of be against each other, well, first off, that's interesting, right? Because they were together like barely on Zoe 101. They don't really have a lot of scenes together. Miranda Cosgrove and Victoria Justice are not like back to back a lot. Like, we think they are because we're always seeing promos or talking about nostalgia, but like really they're not in the same room a lot. So this is a big deal in that case, and the fact that it's for a guy it's just boring, honestly. The miscommunications of dating and having them go to LA just to spy on this boy is really exciting and fun. It's like the beginning of these road trip adventure iCarly episodes. They don't even get to LA until like, I don't know, part 2, which is really annoying. They use a 20-minute episode just to have them talk and set up plot. So it's starting to feel like kind of a waste of time. I do like the adventure sequence of them getting plastic surgery so they don't look like the iCarly cast.
I was once Carly, but now I'm the hideous Patty Schwab.
That's a funny trope, especially considering like they're that famous where they'd even noticed. Oh, and the plastic surgery is so abysmal. I don't even like know what to say about it. I like it being wrapped in with Kenan Thompson's house party. Like, that's definitely a fun reason to get a bunch of teenagers in the same room. Gibby and Kat have a moment to talk together. And this stuff happens later in Sam and Kat, I believe, too. So it's cool that this is like almost like the beginning of that whole relationship between the iCarly and the Victorious universe. I wanted Tori and Carly to meet like 10 minutes in, not 50 minutes in when we have 20 minutes left. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do together. I just want to see them be like Jimmy and Timmy and like actually fight it out, but I know that's not really what this world's about. And yeah, so they decide to get revenge on this guy and somehow run into Kenan Thompson and Andre, which is crazy. Okay, it's a fun way to come together. It's just so ridiculous at points. I don't know. I feel like by the time they have a musical number, we've crossed completely into the Victorious Victorious universe, like, iCarly never has artsy musical moments. Not since the wedding episode, but that was a one-time deal. I don't know, I'm not here for it. I feel like it takes the fourth wall off a little too hard. It's like a worse iCarly episode. I don't know what else to say.
There's never been a more unnecessary season of a TV show since this one, and honestly, I can't tell if it's a good or bad thing. There are some really high highs in this episode, but the lows are just awkwardly low, you know, like working a kid's sweatshop, like having Jack Black come back. I don't know if all this stuff was completely necessary. If anything, it just made the already good original show just awkward, and it takes us from episodes 70 to 80 in the iCarly series, and it just makes you wonder, do they need to keep going through that? Nah, I don't know either. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to check out Johnny 2000, any of my other videos. Thank you guys for joining iCarly with me. Johnny 2000 signing off.